Hello and good morning, Eddie. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Absolutely fantastic. I want to thank you for this book because growing up in Billings, Montana, we didn't have books like this that told the stories of Native Americans and the lifestyle. What we had history books. And I love the way that you are bringing this Indian kid into a storybook form where people can say, you know what? I want to write my own story. I want to be able to get out there and share the story of my elders as well.
Yeah, thanks.
To put the book together, where did the inspiration come from, Eddie? Because, I mean, this is stepping out there.
Well, my first book was a collection of short stories, and some of my experiences from youth were popped up in it, and but they didn't really fit into the story I was writing. But I was just kind of discovering all these things that had happened to me as a kid, so I kind of made a side note of it. And then when I finished those stories, I went back and expanded on the Tishomingo section, and I showed my agent, and he liked it, and he goes, "Do you have a lot more of these stories of you growing up? Because I can see a memoir here," and that's how that started.
Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that you gave yourself permission to do that because, I mean, so many times people, writers especially, will hide their material and it's not going to be released. Because I've sat down with many elders and they've said that it saddened their heart because they didn't want to share their stories. And he says, we're all about sharing stories. That's what the circle is about.
Right.
Did you grow up in such a circle?
Yeah. One of the families that I kind of grew up with, this was before our cable TV was just not coming along, so it wasn't like, or streaming wasn't even thought of then. But we would, towards the end of the day, it was a rather large family, and everyone would finally be home at night, and everyone would go around talking about what happened to them that day, and acting out stuff like if they met someone who had a particular the way they talked or the way they looked or whatever, they just kind of act out whatever happened to you that day in like story form.
Mm-hmm. Starting in journalism at such an early age, I mean, you knew about storytelling way before most people even jump into it. That usually comes after college, but you knew that it was time to start sharing stories as a teen.
All right. I actually started writing when I was 5 or 6 years old. Wow. We lived out in the country in Muskogee, and then there was, like I said, there was no social media. We didn't even barely had TV. So I did a lot of reading, and then writing. I just picked up pencil and paper one day and just started doing it. My grandma saved the first story I wrote back when I was like 5 or 6.
Do you still have it today?
No, we were looking for it for this book. And since I'm in Minneapolis and all the other stuff back in Oklahoma, I had to ask my mom to look for it. She couldn't find it, but she did find a lot of photos and stuff. But that particular story couldn't find, but I know she saved it because I saw it, maybe 20 years ago somewhere. But, yeah, she saved it.
The importance of this book being released right now is so huge in my heart and so many other hearts because as the reservation dogs on television is coming to an end, people want more stories about real, authentic Native Americans. And this book right here it's a part of it. It's a part of the new culture of sharing the stories of those that have been hidden away because nobody wants to talk about it. Yes, we do.
And I think that what that will do is if we get more stories coming out, we're going to shoot down some of these stereotypes about all natives live on the reservation. All natives go to powwows. My grandma, Full Blood Creek, or great-grandma, she didn't even speak English as a kid, lived to be around 90 or in her 80s, never went to a powwow. Never. She's full-blood Indian, and that's because back in her day, that wasn't a thing. Powwows weren't a thing, Any dances were more traditional.
Right.
Or, right. And even if you didn't do that, like she married a Baptist preacher, and that was frowned upon among the church-going sect, going to these traditional salt dances. So, so she probably didn't even do much of that, much less powwows.
Wow. What was it like?
Nothing against powwows. I was going to say nothing against powwows. I just wasn't raised up going. I've been and everything. It's just not something I don't do every weekend or anything.
Right. Learning how to put the thoughts onto paper, that transition to be able to take it from short stories into this book right here, a memoir. I mean, my God. I mean, was that a growing period for you? Was it? How did you make that transition?
I've written columns before, personal columns for newspapers. Mm-hmm. So I was actually anxious to try to get to do this. The only problem I had was, being a fiction writer all these years, I'd come to a spot and I'd say, well, why don't we just have him, go back home and come back? That way it'll look, and well, you can't do that. You're just making stuff up. Like one of my first attempts, I started writing about that family, the Tiger family in Muskogee. I was trying to write a nonfiction piece about. I was going to get the car. It was a Mercedes-Benz. Get it get it inspected in Oklahoma. They don't do that anymore, I don't think.
Right.
You used to have these little stickers on the side, and the mechanics scraped it off and said they found a little tiny hole there, and I was trying to write a straightforward nonfiction account, but then I started drifting off into fiction again. I started making up quotes and making up stuff that didn't have it. You just got to watch out for that.
But that's what's fun about being a writer. And that's why I always tell, and that's one of the reasons why I'm a daily writer in a journal, so that I can get it as it's happening. And then this way I can always go back and pick up where it's almost like saying, dear future reader. In fact, that's the way I describe this book to people about your book, is the fact that it's almost like Eddie sat down and said, dear future reader.
Yeah.
Is that what you're thinking about when you're writing for YA readers?
Yes, thinking about who actually is going to be reading this and at what age, and what hopefully they'll learn from it. That Native American life in America right now is so diverse, and it's not just living on a reservation.
You're so right about that. Eddie, where can people go to find out more information about your writing? Because I want people to fall in love with your writing in the way that I have, and that it really is a story and there is a journey here.
Well, they could start with my first book. It's called Cheyenne Madonna, a book of short stories, Black Sparrow Press out of Boston. You can get that at bookstores or online. And obviously, by This Indian Kid, which is also available at bookshops and online through Scholastic.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I can't wait to talk to you more and more in the future, sir, because I love what you're doing with your writing.
I appreciate it, Errol.
Excellent. Will you be brilliant today, okay, sir?
Will do, and you as well.
Thank you.